Philadelphia, what is going on? Welcome on back to today's edition of PHLY Union Podcast. I'm your host for today, JP Zapata. We actually do a little bit of rotation here, unlike the Philadelphia Union. I'm just kidding, Coach. I'm just kidding. But
Already.
Renee Washington is taking the day off. So here today, of course, I'm joined with our producer, as always. You guys can see behind the quote-unquote glass here today, Tyler Zulli. Tyler, my man, what's going on, brother? How are we feeling today?
This is a little bit of a weird setup. So like you said, we're taking you in behind the scenes a little bit here.
I love it.
This thing right behind me has fallen down about 15 times. So if at some point today this thing comes crashing down on my head, this goes from a 3-person show to a 2-person show to JP's doing everything.
Everything. That would definitely help us go viral for sure if that fell on time.
Yeah, local idiot has sign crash on his head.
We'll be on Apple TV. That'd be awesome. No, but welcome on in, guys. We have a lot to talk about, obviously, here on this Thursday edition of PHLY Union. Of course, we had a match on Tuesday. Yes, your Philadelphia Union will be advancing to the round of 16, where they will meet up with Pachuca, which should be very interesting to see. I know we got some good comments already in the chat. Jazz Fusion, what's happening? We'll get to those comments in just a second. I just want to say hello. Ivan, what's going on, brother? How we feeling? We got Neil Dever in there in the chat as well. What is going on? What is happening? Thank you so much. If you guys have any thoughts, comments, questions about the match, please, today is the day to do it. We are venting. We are discussing Union versus Saprissa Leg 2. So please drop it in the comment section as we go on. Tyler, let's get into this match, shall we?
Yeah, because there's a lot to talk about. There's a lot to talk about on the pitch and in the broadcast booth and in the stands because, hey, man, I got to give a ton of credit to the Saprissa fans. They showed up. They
did. They absolutely did. It was a solid atmosphere for a day, which we thought we might have a rained out match, but we were able to get it off. It was clear skies. First, let's talk about the lineup because that was the big thing before the match. So Jim lined up with the 4-4-2 diamond, which I want to get everyone's opinion as well. Obviously, the big difference this year with the lineup announcements, every match is no longer are we seeing the actual lineup like you usually see. Like the figure with the faces and the names, you see the formation is very well detailed. Now you have like the typical, just the names lined up with the numbers. So it's a little bit confusing. You're wondering what the lineup is. Well, that's why you follow PHLY Union, obviously. But 4-4-2 diamond, the big one was the rotation. You saw the first starts here in 2024 for Jack Elliott, Jesus Bueno, and Marcus Anderson. So that was really cool to see. Jesus Bueno got to start at the 6, something that we really didn't see a lot last year because obviously El Brujo Martinez is there. He did take that role away from Leon Flock, who was the backup 6 for most of the season, but it was good to see some guys making their first starts here in 2024. Let's get to some of these goals here, shall we? What a wild first half that we had here, ladies and gentlemen. 4 goals in total, all under 30 minutes. It was absolutely bonkers. So it starts off with, unfortunately, which I know Tyler wants to get to, which we'll get to in a little bit, but unfortunately, it starts off with an uncharacteristic mistake by our own Jakob Glesnes, who fouls Javon East in the box. It's just like a lack of awareness from Glesnes at the end of the day. Leads to a PK. Was East going to take it? Was Paradela going to take it? Paradela, who typically takes it for Saprissa, takes it. And unfortunately for Oliver Zemla, who made his second start with the Union, could not stop that one. He guessed it right, but he couldn't stop it. It was 1-0 Saprissa. 3 minutes later, this is where it gets wacky and wild. Julian Carranza gets the scored level thanks to Quinn Sullivan, who we will also talk about in a little bit. Does a great job of creating some space out on that width, and he gets a cross in. Julian Carranza does a great job of showing some skill, gets the head on, and that makes it a 1-1 score. And then 26 minutes. So 8 minutes after that, Union did a good job of keeping the ball in the Saprissa zone, and Marcus Anderson makes his voice or his name heard in the match early on. Does a great job of getting a curling shot on Kevin Camero, the goalkeeper of Saprissa. On that instance, you saw a little bit of Marcus Anderson and his ability to cut back inside. I think that's something you guys should keep an eye out for later on this hour as the season goes on here as well. The ball kind of trickled around in the zone here for Saprissa. Daniel Gazak got a shot, but the rebound to find Quinn Sullivan, who was able to bury that bad boy in. And that was a 2-1 lead there. Unfortunately, a minute later, off of a corner kick. Usually the Union do a good job of defending these, but unfortunately, this ball would find Wilber Madrigal, who unfortunately got the best of Marcus Anderson. Listen, a young player in a tough spot there, but it was tied up there 2-2. Near the end of near the end of the half, we had some opportunities from Jack McGlynn, Marcus Anderson, Jesus Bueno, but it was still 2-2. We head into the second half where, unfortunately, we have another Glesnes blunder. 60th minute. What were you doing, Jakob? Draws the handball. Perfect spot for a guy like Mariano Torres to get the free kick in. What a crazy curler as well. Honestly, as a Union fan, it was really cool to see because I'm a huge fan of free kick goals like that. But it was definitely hard because now the Union put themselves in a tough spot. Now Saprissa has 3 away goals. You had 3 in the first match. Now it pretty much was sudden death for the next 30 minutes. We would go into extras here. We had some extra soccer here. Jack Elliott, we'll talk about that in a second. Red card in the 93rd minute. But again, the Philadelphia Union find a way with their resiliency. And the guy that none of us expected, Mikael Uhre, finds a ball off of a corner, buries the bad boy, gives us the great announcement that he's going to have his second child, which was freaking dope. And that was a difference maker there. Tied game 3-3 in extras. But, of course, with the aggregate and the way goals advantage as well, the Union punched their ticket into the round of 16. We can rejoice for now. So with that, Tyler, I want to get your thoughts here. Not the prettiest performance, but they got the job done and they moved on, man. What are your initial thoughts?
And that's why I put the headline as survive and advance today, because sometimes that's all that you can ask for. Sometimes that's all that is necessary, and sometimes that's all you can muster. And I think that there was a lot of good to take away from Tuesday's match. Mm-hmm. I think the two in particular that was really, really positive. I thought the best player on the pitch for the majority of the time that he was out there was Quinn Sullivan. Yeah. He was a step faster than everybody else. He was decisive with his decision-making. Mm-hmm. The goal that he scored, he struck well. And quite frankly, I don't know about you, but I was kind of hoping that Marcus Anderson would score there just to see him get his first, MLS goal. But, it was that was probably one of their better possessions because the first shot off Marcus Anderson's foot, the goalie made a really nice save. Second one gets blocked. Quinn buries the third one. I thought Quinn Sullivan was the best player on the pitch for most of the time that he was out there. I also thought Marcus Anderson was good offensively. Now, I think that there's still going to be time for him to learn set-piece positioning defensively and things like that. He's still getting his footing in the MLS setting. But I thought offensively he was good as well. Really one of my boiled down, just like very easy to digest, vain almost comments of this game was like, young players good, vets bad. And that's not fair because not every vet was bad. But you talk about the good, and it was mostly young guys. You talk about the bad, and it was Glesnes. Now, you brought up the Elliott foul. Now, it was a foul for sure. I think it probably could have been yellow card worthy. I was surprised it was a red card, like a straight up red card. Yeah. But I sometimes in a knockdown CONCACAF game, like you knew this Saprissa team was not going to roll over and die. They were very aggressive. They continued to attack. They go up 1-0. They trail 2-1. They tie 3-3. Like
CONCACAF, baby.
They never stopped. It just came in waves. And it was one of those CONCACAF games that you expected. So sometimes really all you have to ask for is just come away with a win, no matter how you're going to do it. And listen, they have a lot to clean up. I think Pachuca's going to beat them. It's going to be pretty ugly, to be quite honest with you, because of the fact that I just think that they were sloppy against Saprissa, and I think Pachuca's a better team than Saprissa is. Yeah. But they advanced. Yeah. And for right now, at least for today and yesterday and Tuesday, that's all I can ask for.
Yeah, look, obviously the difficult part about competing in this competition is that most of these teams are halfway through their season, most of them. So you're trying to get yourself, knock that rust off, while these teams who are pretty good are, in full force. So that's the difficulty here. So like kind of my initial thoughts of this match, like obviously the big one is they advance. Like that's the most important part. You punch your ticket to the next round. That's really what you want to do. And more importantly, when you look at this club, Tyler, 3 CONCACAF Champions League, Champions Cup, however you want to call it, 3 appearances, and 3 times they have been in the round of 16. That is pretty impressive stuff that what they are doing there. You mentioned Marcus Anderson. That was a first good start. You know, Renee has really been selling us on Marcus Anderson.
She really has.
And he's put in the work in practice. And we know with this team, if you want to get quality minutes, you got to do your work in training. That's where that pretty much that's how you earn your stripes with Jim Curtin here. And I thought he looked really good. The cut-in. That's something that I love to watch wingers do. That ability, like Carlos Vela is like the best, especially in this league. Oh, obviously, I have a team right now.
You could have stopped it like Carlos Vela is the best. You know, like that's for like 3 straight years. You could have just said, yeah, he's probably the best player in the league.
But that's fun to watch.
Now there's a guy named Messi. He's kind of good, but you know what I mean?
Pretty damn good. It makes a lot of money too. But no, that Marcus Anderson cut in, I would definitely want people to keep an eye out for, because if he can nail that shot, oh my God, he's going to open up so much more for him. You mentioned Quinn Sullivan. He was an absolute stud. And Oliver Zemla. I know a lot of people are upset over these 2 starts with Oliver Zemla, but you got to remember, this is essentially a rookie goalie, and he's getting valuable minutes. I feel like he's had some big saves, Chicago on Saturday, Saprissa on Tuesday. That's just going to bode anyone's confidence level. So I feel really good going forward. So like I definitely, there was a lot of positive Tuesday, but I definitely see the concerns that some people may have. And so that's why I brought up the question here today. Should we be concerned with this team after 3 matches? Because I do see where people are coming from, but that's the question that I want to bring to the front here, to everyone here. And I appreciate everyone dropping some comments here. I want to show some love here real quick. Jazz Fusion Ivan, keep dropping those comments in there. Jazz goes, how many times will Jake be allowed to screw up before someone prevents him from further humiliation? Can't move, can't run, sure, 120 minutes. So I do wonder about Glazes. We could touch upon that. So obviously last year, his season, at the end gets cut short with the injury. Didn't even play at the end there. So this year, he's recovering back from that injury. Hasn't looked himself. This one was obviously probably the worst of the 3 that you've seen Glazes in there. But like I look at the first one, he's got the first foul that led to the PK goal. You have to have better awareness. It's simple as that, especially when you're a defender of the year, you're a defender of the year candidate every year. You need to have better awareness there. And on the second one, I have no excuse for, like, what was that? He literally is like walking up to the ball. He's literally asking him, yo, hit my arm, bro. Like, what was that?
And then on top of the fouls and the handball, the one that kind of drove me nuts was the second goal, because when you slow down the film or you slow down like the replay, I'm watching guys almost have to try to recover for him, because if you pan to the right of Zemla, you see Glesnes just kind of like, remember that kid, and the kid that goes, what is this, like imaginary land? You know the meme I'm talking about? Yeah. I almost felt like I was watching Glesnes in that role. And to answer your question, should you be worried about them after 3 games? I can't be. And the reason that I can't, let me rephrase that. I can't be on results, because results tell me they won a game, they drew a game, they won on that aggregate, and they drew a game at home. Mm-hmm. Should you have beaten Chicago? Yes, you should have. Should you have surrendered the second goal against Saprissa in leg 1? No. Should you have surrendered 3 goals against Saprissa in leg 2? Probably, because we're going to talk about Zemla. I thought he was really freaking good. The Joe Bendik jokes were immediate on Twitter. Like you're getting run ruled against Saprissa with Joe Bendik in net. I thought he was really good in leg 2. So these things find a way of evening themselves out. And can I be worried about individual players? 100%. Am I worried about team results? Not just yet.
Yeah, no, I think Jillian said it last time too. Like, you would much rather see Zemla going out there as a young kid trying to figure out than seeing Joe Bendik out there yet again. But I want to get to real quick. I just want to get to the back line, because look, here's the problem now. Glazes you're going to have for the next match against Pachuca. But now, in that match, you had a red card by Jack Elliott, which, by the way, if I'm Jack, I allow that player to go. I don't foul him. I take the chance. I think it was at Brujo on the right, and I think it was Mbaizo on the left. But you had 2 Uni defenders who were about to crash into the course that the Saprissa attacker was going in. Jack comes from behind, does a slide tackle. I just allow my teammates. I put the trust in my teammates to try to make a stop. And if not, Oliver, I'm sorry, buddy, but you're going to have to take it. But now you run into the situation where you're going into next week. Jack is out, our next matchup with Jack out. In the 104th minute, Damian Lowe gets another yellow card. He got one in the first leg.
Yep.
So now you're out with him. That's kind of a tough spot to put yourself into.
Yeah, I mean, you guys talked about it for weeks, how thin the depth is of this team to begin with. And now you're missing a definitive starting center back. Your top bench depth, I don't even know if I want to call Lowe bench, because we'll say depth, because I think he's a starter on a lot of teams. Yeah. You're missing 2 of your 3 center backs, basically, your 3 best center backs, heading into a 2-leg, or at least leg 1 against Pachuca. And this doesn't bode well, especially, now granted, we just talked about how well Zemla played. If Andre Blake's still hurt, we don't know the capacity in which he's injured yet. And if should he not play in leg 1 against Pachuca, or even Saturday against Sporting KC, Zemla's going to get more run. And if you're down 2 center backs in CONCACAF, you're down your starting goaltender in potentially CONCACAF and MLS play, that really stretches your backline thin for a team that doesn't have a ton of depth to begin with.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Nate has had some experience at center back. We actually saw it last year.
I think it's going to have to be Nate.
It's going to have to be Nate, because there's no way they're putting Makanya out there, who has like literally no experience in the MLS as a starter. So I think you're going to have to run with Nate and Jakob. You're going to have to go Kai and Olivier. And the most important part about it is Andre needs to play. And he's a guy who's, at this point, week to week, we'll find out more, hopefully, in the presser tomorrow about Andre Blake's status. But you need Andre in that Pachuca leg 1 match. And you will be at home, so that'll be big as well. But I do feel like if you have Andre at close to 100% and you have a back line of Kai, Nate, Jakob, and Olivier, I feel a little bit better. But, man, with these Mexican teams, I haven't watched Pachuca in a minute. That's the other thing, too. I'm looking forward to watching some Pachuca Liga MX matches. But a Liga MX team, one thing you can always rely upon, attack, and the attack is extremely fast.
Well, and that's why, like, my immediate thought, so I'm sitting watching the game Tuesday night with my wife, and she goes, so they're down a man, what, do they change formation? Do they go to a 3-defender set? And I said, there's no chance. I said, first of all, this is Jim Curtin's team, and Jim Curtin's going to live and die on the hill of a 4-back set. And on top of that, as you just mentioned, could you go to a 3-back set against a lesser talented offensive team? Plausibly. Even take Jim out of the equation for a second and their metrics and their tactics. Could you go to a 3-back set against a lesser talented team? Maybe. Against Pachuca, there's no chance you can allow that to happen, especially, like we just said, if your starting goaltender's not going to play.
One thing you can do is you can possess the ball. It's something that they don't do a lot of, but if you keep the ball away from them, you don't have to worry about defensively, but that's obviously not Union Soccer. Real quick, I want to say hello to Elijah. We got Elijah in the chat. I appreciate you checking on in, man. What's going on, brother? We got Jillian in the chat. I did not say hello to Jillian, but I showed some love to Jillian. What's going on, girl? I know you were down there. We got Jose in the chat showing some love to Tyler. King Tyler, absolutely. That is the name we need to give you, my man.
I don't know if anybody's ever called me that, but I appreciate it. Thank you.
Absolutely. We love to see it. Keep the comments coming, guys. We will get to those in a second. I want to take a quick second, ladies and gentlemen, though, and let's talk today about home buying. Guys, listen, I know home buying right now is not fun. Trust me, I know. I've done it before. It's going through a mortgage process is not fun whatsoever. But with today's sponsor, Mortgage CS, they make it super easy for you. Mortgage CS, ladies and gentlemen, keep them in mind with the spring interest rates go down. Definitely keep them in mind. And of course, it's all in their name right now, guys. Mortgage CS, it stands for Concierge Service. It's a white glove service, and it's an independent mortgage broker based right here in Philadelphia. Keep it Philly, ladies and gentlemen. They give you full control of lenders they work with. They're available 24/7, and Mortgage CS is licensed from coast to coast, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, right now, they have the best customer service, and they're here to prove it. If you're watching live right now on YouTube, you can see the phone number right now for Ben Sucker, the CEO of Mortgage CS. You can call or text him at any time, 267-391-7425. I want you guys to do me a favor. I want you to text him right now and ask him, is he worried about the Union after 3 matches? Let's see what Ben has to say, see if he's been paying attention to the Philadelphia. So definitely check them out, guys, with home buying. It's easy with Mortgage CS. Definitely keep them in mind because it's not easy, but they will definitely help you to make it easy. So check it out right now. You can text them or call them at 267-391-7425, or you can email ben@mortgagecs.com. Again, you can check that out, ben@mortgagecs.com. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS ID 146766. Visit mortgagecs.com for more information.
So keep it Philly, JP, huh?
Keep it Philly, baby.
One thing that I know definitively is a Philly event that we love to do, especially now that the weather's getting warmer. It's tailgate.
Hey.
And there's not a better beer to tailgate with than Coors Light because, guys, when you're down at the stadium, sometimes you're there for quite some time, right? And you don't want to get all full. You don't want to be all have your belly feel all full before you go into the game. Coors Light is the perfect light drinking beer for your tailgate experience. Whether you're going down to Subaru Park or you're heading down to the sports complex in South Philly, take Coors Light with you for your tailgating experience. It's easy to drink, and when the mountains turn blue, it is as cold as the Rockies. It's a cold lager, cold filter, and cold package for a smooth finish. When it's time to chill, like at your tailgate or in your backyard barbecue. JP, I don't know about you, but I am just counting down the days because my buddy has the backyard spot for our barbecues to break out the cornhole table, the bean bags, whatever you call that game. Break that out, break the barbecue out, and have a couple Coors Lights with the boys and sit around and name random role players from the 2000s. The ultimate bros being bros type of thing. But you don't have to hang out with the boys. You can hang out with anybody and enjoy a cold Coors Light. It is mountain cold refreshment, crisp and refreshing as the Colorado Rockies. When you choose to rise above it all, choose chill, choose Coors Light. Get Coors Light delivered to you. So when you're having that party, you don't even need to go pick it up. You get it delivered straight to your to your door, with Instacart. And by going to CoorsLight.com/PHLY soccer. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado.
Hey, I love it. All right. Thanks, guys. So interesting. So we have Jillian here, and we had Jazz Fusion with some comments about Javon East, the forward here for Deportivo Saprissa. I'm not going to lie to you. It was interesting to see him because he gives me the vibes of when you're playing amateur league soccer, Casa soccer, that one dude on that team and you're just we're about to kill this team. And then this dude just scored 5 goals, 3 assists. And you're just what the hell just happened? That is Javon East. But yeah,
that was not me, by the way.
Definitely not me as well. But no, Javon was interesting for sure. Obviously did a great job. Once Jakob Glesnes clipped him, he went right to the ground. But I think Jillian said it or Jazz, but no, Jillian did say it. Give that man that Oscar. He was definitely pandering to it, but he didn't really kill us too much in this game. But it was definitely interesting to see. Jazz Fusion Anderson tantamount to okay. I think he's talking about the corner kick opportunity there where Madrigal was able to get on.
Yeah,
him.
Marcus Anderson was out of position on that one too.
Yeah.
There was a lot of out of position. Might have been the good way to describe this show as well, right? We said survive in advance. It could have been out of position for all we know.
Seriously, man. Seriously. Jazz Fusion giving us a good tidbit here. He says Pachuca without two center backs.
No. The Union. He's saying facing Pachuca without two center backs.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I think what Jazz is saying is good luck.
That is very true. Like we talked about. I still want to watch Pachuca just to see what they look like this year because they just constantly are always fluctuating that team. But yeah, and obviously, listen, that's going to be the tough part. I mean, if you can come away with the draw and like a 0-0 draw, obviously we know the away goals and how important they are. That would be the best case scenario as well. Jose, MVP of that CCC game, wasn't even a player. That's how CONCACAF was. I'm sure I know who he's talking about. We'll definitely get to that in a second. I've been saying maybe loaning Brandon Craig was a mistake. Listen, you could say the same thing about Andres Pereira last year because after you loaned him, you started getting some injuries. The problem is, in any sport, you can't make transactions scared. Like, you can't just trade a player and think, wait, I can't do this because what if my starter goes down? You have to make that move. And at the end of the day, that was a move that boded well for Brandon Craig because he needs those consistent minutes as a young center back. And so I think he's going to get them down at El Paso. But listen, it sucks. At the end of the day, it definitely sucks. But I think Jim is going to rely on Nate Harriel. That's why Nate has stepped up in the big way that he has. But one thing I will say is I would like to see Makahanya later on. I know there's a whole debate about U.S. Open Cup, whether we'll see the MLS Next Pro teams or we will see the senior teams. Regardless, that is an opportunity there to have a young player like a Makahanya possibly get some minutes. And also, we do need to see him in training, like we talked about. You got to earn your stripes in training here with the Philadelphia Union. So we'll see. We'll see about the center back position in general.
The only thing with that is I'm just looking at one particular depth chart, and it really puts it in. So when you like say the names of the depth chart out loud, you go, oh yeah, it's pretty thin. And then you read it. I feel like reading a depth chart really puts a depth chart into perspective. Mm-hmm. And maybe at this point I'm getting paid for the phrase depth chart. But this is a 6-player defense on a defense that utilizes 4 spots. Right. So and generally the 4. It's going to be Wagner, Elliott, Glesnes, and then pick Harriel/Bizo. Mm-hmm. So that's 5. Damian Lowe is 6. After that, you're talking about Matt Real. You're talking about Isaiah LaFleur. You're talking about Berdicio. Like, at that point, that's a pretty stark drop-off from the back 4, which has been award-winning, defender of the year with Glesnes and somebody else was Kai Wagner was in it too, right? 2 years ago.
Kai Wagner, yes, that was 2023.
Right.
Wagner, Elliott, and Glesnes were all candidates.
All candidates. That's what I mean. Yep. So when you talk about the back line and the top, let's say 5 guys. Let's exclude Damian Lowe for a second. That's about as legit as you can get on paper, but it's paper thin. And at that point, you're down 2 now. Your 6 is down to 4, and 3 of those 4 guys are naturally outside backs.
That is true.
Tough position to be in.
It is really tough to be in. I've been really bringing up a good point that I didn't even know. So if you guys don't know who Salomon Rondon is, he, to me, is one of the best Venezuelan strikers of all time. I know Ed Brujo Martinez and Jesus Bueno are going to know him very well as well, but he's also played throughout Europe. Like he was in Italy, he was in England, I forgot he was in Everton too for 21-22. He played in Russia, West Brom, Newcastle. I'm pretty sure he was in Torino at one point too. But that's an interesting. I did not realize Salomon Rondon is still playing. He's 34 years old too, but he still can bag some goals. He had 10 goals with River Plate in 31 appearances. So that should be interesting to see Salomon Rondon out there. But it should be interesting. Yeah, that was definitely interesting there. So let's go back to the match though, guys.
By the way, 5 goals this season too.
For Rondon?
For Pachuca.
For Pachuca? Okay.
9 matches played, 5 goals. And they have 19 points in, I think they've 9 games at this point in the Liga MX standings. Yeah, 9 matches played, 19 points. They're tied for the top spot with Monterrey and Cruz Azul.
Mm-hmm. It is going to be interesting there. Let's look at the midfield there, Tyler. I want to look at that because we saw some changes there. The big one was El Brujo got to sit for this one. He came out in the second half, but Jesus Bueno got to start at the 6. You obviously still kept with Quinn and Jack McGlynn at the 2 shuttle midfielders, but Jesus Bueno was a guy coming into the season. We all expected him to take Ali's spot, and Quinn Sullivan married that position and is not letting go of that position, so he's not going anywhere. And now Jesus has to find himself.
Sure he is. He's going to Europe. That's what's happening soon.
Man. These Union fans do not want to hear that.
No, well, he keeps playing this way. It's going to be the truth sooner rather than later.
And I think I texted you and Renee during that match. I was like, if Quinn plays like this all season long, there's no way in hell in 25 he's a member of the Philadelphia Union.
No, there's no chance.
And especially with the way he's playing at the position he's playing, he's looking like a really quality box-to-box midfielder. If he's got that. And plus, he's got versatility too. I mean, like, he's found himself into this position, but he's a guy with a lot of technical ability. He can play as a forward. And I've always said, like, he belongs in a winger-type system, like a 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. But now he's showing that versatility. He's playing extremely well at that right shuttle midfielder. I think he was the man of the series or the man of the match. This year he's got an XG of 0.3. Obviously, he's got not the goal in MLS play, but he had the goal last night with the assist as well on Saturday. But Quinn Sullivan and his importance has really been big for this team. Finding the guy who can be able to help connect in the attack. We always talk about that. When you see this Union attack stale, a lot of the reason why is that build-up play is there's just a disconnect somewhere, and it just looks stale as all can be. You know, a lot of the times last year people were criticizing that diamond midfield, but the problem was you were just having issues of moving the ball up, and we've seen that before. Quinn, what he's able to do is add that extra attacker within that top three, within Gazek, Carranza, and Ua, and he's getting that freedom as well, which is so important. A player like Quinn, you need to give him that type of freedom. And you're seeing that. Jack McGlynn also played extremely well. I want to give love to Jimmy King because Jimmy mentioned that on Twitter as well, his play. He was one of the best players on the night as well. And we always talk about his feel and his vision on the pitch. It's like he's a 30-year-old player, not a kid that's like about to turn 21. But his ability to be able to, especially like on a low block or just from back deep and create an attack from distance, his vision is able to help with that. And he had a lot of nice passes on Tuesday night. But those two have been the big part of this early season on and why this midfield has looked so well. But Jesus Bueno looked really good too last night. He had a couple opportunities to get a shot on goal. But you see the versatility of Jesus Bueno. He's really good at tracking balls. It's very similar to El Brujo Martinez, if I'm being honest. He's really good at tracking the ball down, and he's really good at helping create and spurting that attack. But no, this midfield, it's got some versatility, and you got some players that you can kind of rely on, and it's got some depth. And not to even mention, in the second half, you get 45 minutes of Alejandro Bedoya. Tyler, when I saw Ali sub in, go to that huddle and get those guys ready, I was ready to run through a freaking wall again. That wasn't 90. That was like the 45th minute of the match. But the midfield this year, you have some more depth, and more importantly, it's more creative. It's helping you in the attack, Tyler.
Yeah, I think, and Jazz brought up the point that I was just about to make with Jack McGlynn was his. I almost wanted to call it court vision because that's like you talk about a good point guard, right? And they got the court vision. Mm-hmm. His field vision is elite at this point. I mean, and you feel like he's been a member of this Union team for 5 years now.
Yeah,
he's 20 years old. He's continuing to get better. His ability to make plays, to start plays, right? Because he is one of the two guys that I rely upon in that counter. The Union, exactly. That they love to not play, or they love to play without possession. It's just the Union way. It's for better or worse, for flaw or for not, it's the Union way. And Jack McGlynn is one of the guys that I count on to set that counter attack up. And he's been really, really good at it over the last, let's say, like 18 calendar months. You could even shrink it if you wanted to. Let's say just the last year. Mm-hmm. And he continues to get better at 20. Having him and Quinn Sullivan as guys that are able to set play up, and then Kai Wagner is going to push offensively. To be able to create and space and, like you said, get creative, it allows for this team to be multidimensional.
Yeah.
Because for a while, at least at the back end of last year, it felt like there was an attack, and then it was a regression. And then there was attack, and then there was a regression. And when I say regression, I don't mean the team regressing. I mean you go back and you play defense.
Yes.
It was very one wave. Mm-hmm. This type of flexibility with McGlynn and with Quinn Sullivan, creating in space specifically and starting up the attack, makes them a better team. Yeah. And that's why when you say, should I be concerned? Individually, yeah, there's concern. But like team-wise, I'm not concerned yet.
Yeah. And we'll definitely get to that in a second. But this midfield has been so much fun to watch. And not even to mention, too, we don't know right now what's going on with Leon Flock. But when you do get him back, I feel
so bad for that guy.
Yeah, it's literally maybe tomorrow we might get an update. We'll see. But Leon Flock battling that injury last year, thought he would be back this year. It's a little bit of a setback, and you're just kind of waiting. But if he's back, Tyler, you have a solidified backup midfielder behind 3 of the 4 positions. I'm not going to go 4 because I don't think we have a backup behind Gazdag full time just yet. But that's really good, and that's something you didn't really have last year. You didn't have 3 solidified backup players in that midfield. That's definitely something to keep an eye out for as the season goes on. Ivan with the comment of the
Yeah,
show.
how about that?
What are they feeding the Sullivan kid? I do not know. But
I was going for the one underneath that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Comping him to Pirlo already.
Ivan's on today. I love it. But yeah, first off, what is Miss Sullivan feeding those kids? Because those kids absolutely are fantastic soccer players, and I need to feed my future kids that food too. Because obviously we talk about Quinn Sullivan. We're going to talk about Caven in just a little bit as well with some of the news we had today with Union 2. But man, oh man, Quinn. And you know what? This was a big year for Quinn too, because you have to think that Quinn had to hear all the talk about Caven. Caven this, Caven that. Caven's the future of this team. And Quinn's like, I'm still fucking here. And I still can play. And look, he's having a fantastic year. He plays this way throughout the year. My man's getting sold, no doubt about it. Leon.
So let me ask you, talking about him moving on eventually.
Yeah.
It's going to happen, right? Like, we can all agree on that. What do you think? I'm going to ask you a two-part question. What do you think on transfer market's pretty respectable? Mm-hmm. What do you think his estimated transfer value would be right now?
For Quinn?
For Quinn.
This
is in pounds, by the way. It's not in dollars.
Right. Okay, so I'm going to have to...
It's close. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll find you the actual...
it's not $1 million, right?
It's $1.6 dollars to £1.
Really?
Yes.
So it's not.
Did you say it's not $1 million?
It's not £1 million or dollars, is it?
£2 million.
Really?
I bet you that goes up. I bet you that goes up pretty significantly in the next 6 months.
That's
so if he's at
interesting.
2 now,
right?
And he continues to play at the small sample size, but continues to play at the way that he has over the first couple of games. That 2 gets to what by the end of the year? 3 and some change?
Well, I guess the best way to kind of look at it is some of the recent sales that we've even had within this league. I mean, and considering too, Ernst is not going to take pennies on a dollar, and we've learned that's why Kai has been here for so long, right? So he's going to definitely try to get to I would assume you try to get to at least 5, but also too, you have to think
That's
about
what they're going to ask for sure
to start off with. That's interesting. $2 million for Quinn. Dude, if he plays like this, he's easily getting that $5 million.
Now, the teams in Europe or wherever he ends up moving to may be like, nah, we're cool.
Yeah.
We'll give you 3, and then that's when the negotiations begin. But I think that you go bullish, and I know it's been 3 really good games. I need to see probably 13 really good games to consider that kind of monetary value. But I think you go bullish on a kid that's, what's he, 20? He's 19 years old, and he's playing this well. So
and we talked about it. Versatility, that's what makes him so valuable.
Significant.
Because he could do so many different things for a team, especially different formations. That's so big. Jazz, I don't know if I agree with you. Yes, there was a point where even I myself really criticized Leon's ability in the attack. But if you remember, I know it feels so long ago, but before his injuries, he really was contributing in the attack. He was starting to get better. That was one part of his game he needed to improve upon arriving to Philadelphia. I think he has. This injury has set him back, though, unfortunately. But regardless, I mean, listen, if Jack McGlynn has to go down for injury, or if you have to rotate, you don't feel comfortable with Leon Flock in there? Because I certainly feel really comfortable with him in there. Let's get to Zemla. Let's get to Zemla, man.
Let's do it.
5 saves last night. Obviously, 2 goals allowed in the first half. I can't really kill him for the free kick. You got to remember, he's a rookie goalie, guys. And overall, you're going to have some of those mistakes that you had. The PK, he picked the right side. I feel like 2 out of 5 times he's saving that, right? And so in the second goal, Marcus Anderson, another youngster, gets caught there by Madrigal, who's ironically another young player too. So on all 3 of these goals, I really can't kill Zemla too much. But like we talked about in the Chicago match, in the important moments, if he allows 1 more goal in that second half for injury time, obviously it's over. It's done, right? But he made a couple big saves in the closing minutes of regular time and in extra times, and he was a big piece of why we won. So you know what it tells me, Tyler, watching him play through these 2 moments? He's going to go through these bumps and bruises as any young goalkeeper does. No goalkeeper comes in and looks like Gigi Buffon from the start. But what it tells me is this kid is made from a different cloth, because it feels like in pressured like situations, he plays much better. When he need that save, he can come up big. And obviously, learning behind Andre Blake a little more, we talked about. Might have to play in some U.S. Open Cup games later on. You're going to see some rotation. Dude, I like Zemla for the future here. There's a reason why Jim doesn't just put anyone out there. Let's get that straight, ladies and gentlemen. So he has to see something, and we're seeing it right now.
Yeah, I think that there were a couple of saves. So we made 5, and I would say probably 2 of them at least were high leverage, high quality saves. A third could be, you convinced me of a third. There was one in the waning minutes of the second half that I think was significant. And I say waning, I don't mean like 88th, 90th minute, but it was after 70, if I remember correctly, was really significant because I think he was being screened. He made a really, really nice save. And, at a time that I felt like the Union were starting to backpedal a little bit, where it looked like Saprissa was maybe gaining some momentum in the second half because like we talked about, Saprissa just attacked in waves and they never stopped. So it was significant to have a goaltender that when you needed him, despite the fact that he had given up 3, when you needed him to stand on his head, he made that save that you needed him to. And to me, that allows you to breathe. That allows you to not play so uptight, so, congested, so I can't make a mistake type. And that happens in any sport. When you have a player of that caliber who can make that kind of play behind you, whether it's a safety in football, it's a center fielder in baseball, it's a goaltender in soccer and hockey. I felt comfortable with him in net on Tuesday night, whereas I don't even want to say Bendik because that's just not fair to that guy anymore. We just harp on him.
Right.
You have an average goaltender, they're giving up at least a 4th goal. Yeah. Zemla, to me, on the surface, at least that night, was better than average. I thought he was significantly better than average, in fact, despite the fact that the stat line says he gave up 3.
Yeah, right now where I'm at with Zemla is I feel really good about him. I think there's work to be done. There's a lot more work to be done. But if this is what we're getting from a rookie goalie, I like where the future and where we're going with Oliver Zemla. Yeah, what was up with Saprissa with the chips on Oliver Zemla? Like Giovanni's is like 5'7", 5'8". Dude, you're trying to chip a 6'5" goalie? Are you sure about that? Sure about that?
The chip was weird. The one that I thought there was a breakaway and he tried to chip him, right?
Yeah.
And I'm watching him, take that step. You bury that. You have to bury that. I get that you're trying to fool the goalkeeper and whatnot. The height advantage didn't play in your favor. You just got to attempt to bury it.
And I forget who did it in the second half, but then they did it again. I think it was Kendall Watson. Kendall Watson. I don't know why Kendall Watson as a defender was all the way up front, but he tries to chip Zemla, and I'm like, dude, really? Kendall Watson. But hey, it is what it is. But Oliver Zemla, feel really good about him. We talked about it on Tuesday. I'm not sure if I'm ready to be concerned about Andre Blake. Again, Jim presser tomorrow. Hopefully we find out some more updates about Leon, about Andre Blake, and we shall see. But let me give you guys an update here, ladies and gentlemen, because, guys, I want to tell you about our sponsor with Game Time. Guys, here's the update. We are getting close to concert season. I'm excited here, ladies and gentlemen. I know you guys are as well. Game Time app is a free app, and it gets you the best ticket prices, and it's the best experience when buying tickets. I'm going to tell you guys, I'm going to let you guys in on a little secret on some of my plans this upcoming summer. So in April and in June, I have 2 separate concerts that I will be attending. Bad Bunny, El Conejito Malo will be here in April, and Fade Fercho for my Colombianos, he will be here in June. What I'm going to do, me and my beautiful fiance, we're going to go down to the center. Both will be at the Wells Fargo Center, which is going to be freaking awesome too. I'm going to go down to the center. I'm going to have a good time. I'm going to party, maybe meet some fellow Latinos, maybe have a little taco. But I'm sure there's going to be a taco stand down there, some nice beer, maybe some Coors Light. And I'm going to chill. And right before, we're going to get our tickets. We're going to get our tickets to the Game Time app. We're going to get the best prices. And let alone, we're going to see our seats where El Conejito Malo is going to be from the Game Time app. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited to bring this on to you guys because we got you covered here with the promo code. If you use the promo code PHLY on your first purchase, ladies and gentlemen, you get $20 off right there. That's right, PHLY, $20 off. Are you kidding me, ladies and gentlemen? So head on over right now. Use that promo code. Hopefully, I see you at the Bad Bunny or the Fade concert. If not, I'll see you at Subaru Park or Citizens Bank Park this upcoming summer. But thank you again to our friends over at the Game Time app. Make sure you guys check it out.
Yeah, if you're not going to hit up the any of the concerts JP's going to, and you've got some extra money to spend, how about you get a good breakfast? And that, of course,
that's important.
It is. That's, of course, with our friends at Bagels & Co., because Bagels & Co. have some of the best bagels and spreads around. We talked about having them at our Reading Terminal Market Show. They brought us in some treats and goodies the other day, not too long ago. Whether you want to get just a plain bagel, which I get, you could just have a bagel, maybe some cream cheese, some butter, whatever you want to use, or you want to get a real hearty meal. You get a pork roll, egg, and cheese, or a sausage, egg, and cheese, the one I won't do. I don't know if you know this, JP, or not. I'm not a bacon guy.
Okay.
I won't do bacon, but I will do pork roll, egg, and cheese, sausage, egg, and cheese.
That's
and
important.
Bagels & Co. is the way to go because they have the Brooklyn-style bagels. They're larger than any that you're going to find in the Philadelphia and Delaware Valley, but you don't have to go to Brooklyn or go to North Jersey to get these bagels. You can find them right here in Philly and in South Jersey. And you don't have to go too far. 15 to 20 different types of bagels to choose from daily. We got Valentine's Day had just passed. We got St. Patrick's Day coming up. Hopefully, we maybe get a opening day. Philly's opening day is coming around the corner,
cool.
not too far. So maybe we'll get
cream cheese.
An opening day bagel. And on top of that, 30 different flavors of cream cheese and smears. And they have seasonal flavors on those cream cheese. And like we just talked about, maybe you get a little bit of I don't know what the flavor would be, but Bagels & Co. is better at creating cream cheeses than I am because I'm not a baker. I'm not I don't have any artisan skills. I just sit here and I talk about this awesome company. But on top of just having some awesome bagels and some great cream cheese varieties, they have affordable prices because we know in today's world, inflation is king, and they have kept their prices low so that you don't have to feel like we're treating ourselves. You don't have to feel like this is a once-a-week thing. They have a mom-and-pop shop feel that isn't going to break the bank. It's not $7 for coffee. It's not $7 for a bagel. You can get a good bagel or a good bagel breakfast sandwich at an affordable price. So if you want to find these awesome bagels, awesome sandwiches, awesome cream cheese spreads in the Philadelphia area, go to www.thebagelsandco.com/store locator to find the closest Bagels & Co. near you.
We'll definitely talk about inflation just a little bit. Ivan, oh man, hold on. I wish I could just give you like.
You go give the camera a hug.
Like a little dap. That's all I wanted to do.
I don't know what just happened.
That was for people who were able to see. That was a little dap to Ivan because Ivan's is a Federal fan too. Tyler, what's like the musical artist or band that like you need just like a boost of serotonin? You just put that on.
That's a great question. See, that's really hard to answer because people think when I'm in a bad mood, because you know that I'm like a metalhead. People think when I'm in a bad mood that like, oh, Tyler's going to throw the metal on. I'm going to tell you this, JP. If you hear me listening to metal or emo or anything like that, I'm in a good mood.
Okay.
When you get me into like, I don't want to say sappy, but if I'm listening to like the love songs or the, slowed down like acoustic guitar only, then you need to worry about me. Okay. Like, Ty, you all right? You listening to
I'll keep that in mind.
Slow jams
Write
here.
these notes down,
What's
guys.
happening here? But if you hear me pull up and it's like, double bass and heavy guitars, I'm in a good spot. I'm okay. So to answer your question, I really don't. I'm throwing the metal on and having a good time.
Okay. So for me, your metal is for me it's Federal.
Yes. Okay.
So I put them on when I'm ready to. I need to get amp, pump, in a good mood. That's definitely.
I think one of these days, because between me, you, and Renee, our music tastes are very different.
I love it.
I think that we should have a day of like, all right, you have to listen to what I like, and Renee has to listen to what you like, and I have, you know what I mean? Like, just pick a song of the day. Obviously, we can't play it on YouTube because we're going to lose money, and we don't want to do that because I like my job. But I think that we should have a day of you listen to somebody else's music.
I like it. I also like that we're all not like have the same interests besides sports. But yeah, I'm in for that. I'm definitely down for that. Let's talk about some other things, some fun things from Tuesday night. Stadium atmosphere. First off, kudos to Saprissa fans. I don't know why people still don't learn that going to the Rocky Steps is bad juju, unless you have Lionel Messi, which not a lot of people have Lionel Messi. But I put that picture out on Twitter because like
we got Lionel Messi at home.
Yeah. Like, how do you not know at this point? But it is what it is. But kudos to Saprissa fans because they did show out a couple of those goals. You did hear the fans roar as well, so that was pretty cool. But I'm happy because it was a solid crowd. And if I saw the tweet correctly, Tyler, I think Nashville had like 7,000, if I saw it correctly.
Okay.
Last night around the same time, or I think it was this past weekend. But regardless, it was a good atmosphere in general, considering we thought we were going to get some rain last night. It's a school night too. That's always tough as well. And I think like for like the casual soccer fan, like you're explaining like CONCACAF Champions League, they're like, this isn't MLS? What are we doing here?
So I'm really glad that you said that, because as I said, I was watching the game with my wife and she was like, so what is this? I said, it's CONCACAF. And she goes, what's that? And I said, it's an international tournament. North America and Central America get together, and the best teams across the United States, Canada, Mexico, Costa Rica, all these, all the best teams across those two continents, the portion of that continent, come together and play an international tournament. And she goes, oh, well, so if they lose, if it was 3-3 at the time, she goes, if they give up a goal, I'm sorry, it was 2-2 at the time. She goes, if they give up a goal, do they lose? I said, no. And she's like, I don't understand. And I said, it's aggregate.
I get
She's
that.
like, why?
I get that.
And so she, not that she wasn't understanding aggregate, but she wasn't understanding why aggregate was a thing. And she goes, so what is it? Like, is this a regular season game? I'm like, no. Is it a playoffs? No. So explaining CONCACAF to somebody, or explaining tournament play to somebody when they are used to the North American style of preseason, season, playoffs is very, very difficult to do.
It can get to some interesting conversations for sure. Well, Tyler, the NBA doing the in-season tournament has kind of helped us explaining things.
Sure, absolutely has. You're right.
That's definitely something that we can always connect with. But no, it definitely could be confusing. But like, it's funny because if you ask some European fans, like from like a Liverpool fan from Liverpool, he might tell you that Champions League is more important than winning the Prem. And so that's why, like, here, this competition is extremely important. Now, we can argue what's more important. I think it's a little bit different over here, but it's an extremely important tournament.
Sure.
And I'm glad that people did show up for it, because I know it wasn't the most fun weather out there. It was cold, it was a little chilly, a little chilly on a Tuesday.
Oh, it was better than the home opener of the MLS season. That was just disgustingly cold.
It was absolutely terrible. All right, as Jose mentioned here in the comment section, we need to talk about the star of the night. And no, as well as Quinn Sullivan played, it was not him. George Matillas, who was the one-man show last night, first off. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that in soccer. He was running the broadcast, play-by-play, color commentator, all the above. And he caught a lot of eyes. I think a lot of people were messaging me, not because of the match, but because of what George was calling in that match. And I rewatched it this morning. It was extremely entertaining. And I think what it was, Tyler, it was a hybrid. It was the old school traditional TV broadcasting a game mixed with today's day and age Twitch streaming, which I've done before. It's a lot of fun. It could be a little difficult too, but you're not doing the conventional style of color commentating. But I felt like he mixed those two together, and it was a really good product. Mixing his soccer knowledge with pop culture. I think in today's day and age, that is super important.
Yeah, there was like 20 minutes. So for those that don't know, I had initially planned to be a play-by-play announcer. That was my dream. And so I had a lot of like classic training in play-by, as best as classic can be with, how fluid our industry is. The first like 20 minutes, I was like, old man yell at clouds. This is not a broadcast. This is like, just call the game, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a part of me that's like, all right, Boomer, relax. Like, this guy's entertaining. Go have fun with it. And the moment that I let go of like, this is not a typical broadcast, was the moment it became fun. And so the Union did like a graph of like a line graph, but it's all over the place. It almost looks like Charlie Day when he's putting the strings together. That's what it looks like. Some of the things that he hit on included the X-Men, Halle Berry, the girl with the dragon tattoo, talked about the Delaware being the river that George Washington crossed in the Revolutionary War, pondered whether the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence was signed in Philadelphia, mentioned that Jesus Bueno, translated to English, was Jesus good, called El Brujo Ramirez about 7 or 8 times, and really just had a blast. I think he was just giving his inner monologue, to be quite honest. So I really think, like, to me, this felt like once I started to enjoy it, I'm like, I texted you guys, I'm like, this dude's just saying stuff. Like, I don't know if it's broadcast, game related or not, but he was just saying stuff, and it became so much fun once I let that, old man yells at clouds feeling go.
You know what it is, Tyler? In today's day and age, I love sports. I think sometimes as fans, we get too into it where it affects our mood. And sometimes we just need to remember it's a game. Just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Like, just have fun with this.
He made the broadcast more fun.
Exactly.
And if that's my only takeaway from a broadcast, I know I'm going to remember this guy. I know I'm going to remember Tuesday night sitting on my couch watching CONCACAF with this guy doing play-by-play color and whatever was coming into his brain that day.
How do we get him on Apple TV? That's the next question.
Great question.
Yeah, let's get some love to Jose. So so Jose's got an interview right now. I see here in the comment section. He's got an interview with George Matillas. So definitely check that out. Make sure you guys follow Jose Nunez on Twitter. I'm sure he's got it out there. That's awesome. Me reading the tweets about the broadcast at the game, I'm like, this is what is going on. Rare case of feeling like I was missing out being at the actual game. That's from Jillian. Jillian says Jose's interview with George is gold. We definitely got to check that out. Yeah, so I unfortunately didn't get to watch it on that night as well. I was getting all the tweets too because I had to work the Flyers that night. But I watched. I listened to it this morning. I genuinely loved it, and I hope to see more of that. And honestly, you know what, too, Tyler? I hope, especially like Apple TV, because that's where we watch our games,
Sure.
right? I hope they learn from it. Like, don't have to be too serious. Have fun with it. Be yourself. That's all it is.
Well, that's why I think this medium that we have currently is the best example of it, where we could sit here and break down tactics for an hour.
Right.
Or we could do 40 minutes of, legitimate soccer talk and then 20 minutes of fun.
I'm in for that.
What's a better broadcast?
I'm definitely.
That's up for you to decide. You know what I mean? Like, you could say, yeah, they goofed off too much. They were, they went off the rails, right? Or you could say, Tyler and JP had a lot of fun today.
There you go.
Take it for what it is.
Ivan, I'm the same way. I typically do put the matches in Spanish. I prefer Spanish commentating more than the English commentating. But yeah, we definitely missed it on Tuesday night for sure. Keep dropping the comments in the comment section, guys. We had some comments on Twitter that I would say, I told them we would talk about it here on the show, and I want to bring them up here. So at Patty Mac Swag, thank you, Patty Mac. He asked, do you think Frankie Westfield has a chance of coming up, or Craig will ever get a chance with the senior team again? So Frankie Westfield is a fullback for Union 2 right now. He had an opportunity to play with Penn State. Shouts to Evan Cohen. So I'm not a Union 2 expert. I do plan on attending some Union 2 matches, but Evan Cohen is always on top of Union 2, so make sure you guys follow him. We had him on the show a couple weeks ago as well. Gave me some insight about him. So he plays either left or right back, so he's got some versatility. It just feels, just looking at the situation here with the Union, you see what's going on right now. You obviously at the right side, you have Olivier and you have Nathan Harriel, and Kai Wagner is literally going nowhere on that left-hand side. So I think it would be really tough for a kid like Frankie Westfield to come up. He's also very young as well, and you kind of do need him down at Uni 2. With Brandon Craig, I think someone also mentioned that here as well in the comment section. It's going to be tough for Brandon. He's obviously down on loan with El Paso Locomotive, so he's obviously not even going to be here this season. But when he comes back, I don't know. I really don't know if there's future here for Brandon Craig. Obviously, they did sign Makahanya last year with the Under-22 initiative. So with Brandon Craig, I don't know what the future holds there. I think the future in the MLS for him, but with the Union, I genuinely don't see it happening as much as that hurts me to say, because I do like Brandon Craig. DOOP Adelphia asks, I'm very concerned given the yellow card accumulation and the very heavy match schedule. But watching back Tuesday's game, there was a lot of near misses that if they connect, maybe aren't feeling as fragile right now. Getting things tightened up a bit could be the key. Yeah, that yellow card accumulation definitely sucks. I think he's talking about the Damian Lowe situation. Obviously, Damian, that was a tough one. I know we didn't talk about that one, but Damian Lowe, listen, you got to understand that the player you're going up against is like literally half your size. And a lot of times Damian Lowe's going up against attackers that are literally half his size. So it is a tough one, but Damian's got to have a little more recognition there. And unfortunately, you are going to be without him in that Pachuca match. But The defense is really going to be the key, and we'll obviously talk more about Pachuca when we get close to it, but that's definitely going to be the key there. And then last one, John Crisafi. Shout out to John. He says, concern with how they're going to handle the minutes with this all. Early suspensions aren't what this team needs, and when it's going to have to navigate all the international departures this summer, on top of all these competitions, Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday turnarounds with travel will be tough. One thing I didn't mention here, I criticized Jim on Saturday for the lack of rotation, but he proved me wrong because it was actually a good decision, and he did rotate on Tuesday because like we talked about, and I don't know why I didn't think of this. When you're looking at these matches in CONCACAF, right, it's a 180-minute game, not a 90-minute game. Mm-hmm. So you have to plan it out as so. And so I think he did make the right move with those rotations between leg 1 and leg 2, an MLS match in the middle.
I agree with you, too. It's unfortunate that the game was as back and forth and as high-scoring as it was, because I think that in a perfect world, maybe not every guy that he subbed in the second half had to play. It ended up being the case because they needed goals in bunches, but I agree. I think that we've given this team a little bit of flack for being hard-headed at times. They did what they needed to do to advance while also giving, guys a 45-minute rest that maybe they weren't going to get otherwise. So credit where credit's due. They survived in advance. Like we talked about at the top of the show, they survived in advance.
That is the key. And so they're going to have to do some more rotation. Obviously, we have a match Saturday, and of course, we have our next match against Pachuca. So it'll be very, very interesting. Elijah says, it took me a while to get, I'm sure he's talking about George's broadcast. It took me a while to get used to, but now I'm more appreciative of it now. And I'm sure it took you a minute, like when you're hearing it maybe a little unconventional, but at the end of the day, at the end of the match, you realize, wow, that was a lot of fun. The match may have been a little bit stressful, but George made it a lot of fun, and that was definitely cool to see. Jillian mentioned Union 2 games are a blast. Definitely recommend for everyone to check it out. It's a cheap ticket. You get to see the future of the Union. I don't see anything wrong with that. All right. Last thing here on the docket here. Tyler, I know you're going to appreciate this. So I know you're very well aware. Dollar dog night situation with the Phillies.
Yep, we already talked about that one today. So
you know what I did today?
What'd you do?
So I decided to find the promotional schedule for the Union because we were doing dollar dog nights too, and they used to put it on there. So actually, Fang read my mind, and he put out his own promo video, which is really cool. Shouts to Fang. I like that one. No dollar dog night for the Union either. So Tyler, how much is a pack of hot dogs? I know inflation's, like I said, inflation's a real thing. That's why Bagels and Co, ladies and gentlemen. But dude, how much are hot dogs these days? We can't do dollar dog nights for both?
Here's my thing with the hot dogs. I'm not a big hot dog guy to begin with.
I get it.
If I'm going and they're $5-6, there is 0.0% chance I'm getting a hot dog. Unless I am like on my deathbed and they say you need to buy this hot dog. If the hot dog's $1, then you probably buy 2 or 3 because you can justify, okay, this is my dinner. Even though maybe you're not a huge hot dog fan, you can justify this as my dinner. Or you could play the other way of saying, how many of these hot dogs can I eat in a 90-minute match? If you really want to be a true sicko. But I get why the Phillies did it. They had issues with it last season. I understand that there were people throwing hot dogs and a lot of, college-age kids were really struggling with their...
You college kids got money like that? Give it to me.
For $1, they do. We used to go to Sixers games for like $6 back in college because they were terrible. But what I'm saying is like, there's a reason that they're shutting it down, but it affects a lot of people that didn't have any part in it, which sucks. Yeah. But it's the truth.
That is the reality of it. I mean, like... It was a fun tradition. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I can eat, so I was buying like 10 hot dogs at a time. I wasn't throwing them out. I was definitely eating those, especially after a couple beers, a couple Coors Lights. That's what happens here. But it's just thing is that, Tyler, it was a tradition. And you know me, I'm very sentimental. So the tradition gone, it definitely does suck. But yeah, I mean, it was just an interesting thing. I wanted to check it out, and it just sucks. We're not going to get dollar dogs anymore, man. Oh, definitely sucks.
Another legend that we're going to have to tell our children about. Back in my day, we used to get hot dogs for $1 at specific games. Sure you did, Grandpa. Go to bed.
Our kids are going to have to pay $10 for hot dogs by the time we get there.
Yeah, man. What's a Phillies ticket going to cost in 2070?
I'm not looking
$300?
It's not going to be fun. Quick heads up, a program reminder. So tomorrow, guys, we're not talking about KC because we actually got a preview for you. So keep an eye out that we'll have that out for tomorrow. So make sure you guys are following PHLY Union on Twitter. Make sure you guys are subscribed to PHLY Sports as well, because we will keep you up to date with that. It's a fun one. If you're an MLS fan, you're going to like this preview that we got for you tomorrow. So definitely keep an eye out for that. Tyler, I appreciate you joining me here today,
this was fun, man. I enjoyed this.
Any last words for those dupers out there?
This thing didn't fall down. That's a success right there.
Man. They didn't want us to go viral.
That's a success. Don't hit the panic button just yet. At least performatively, for the team performatively. It's a long season. A lot of games to be played. Hopefully you get more than just 2 more CONCACAF games. If not, you still have a lot of soccer left to play.
Yeah, I mean, the important part about the season is getting hardware. I mean, we would like to win Champions Cup, but if it's not there, MLS Cup is there as well. But hardware is definitely something this team needs to definitely get. But yeah, so we started this. The question of it the day was, should we be concerned of the Philadelphia Union? At the end, yes, there are things to be concerned, but it's still way too early. Maybe concerned about Pachuca in Leg 2, considering how we're going to line up defensively. But I think one thing we have learned early on is that this team is still the Union, and that means they are a resilient bunch. And they play Union soccer. They're aggressive. They match the city's character or personality. So let's just relax, enjoy the soccer that we have here. Saturday, the Union are back against Sporting Kansas City. Make sure you guys keep an eye out for that preview tomorrow. We will keep you posted with that. Next week, Renee will be back. We'll have the full team here. We'll have the lineup will be set. We'll have our full lineup. No injuries, no rotation. We'll have that full lineup there for next week. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching PHLY Union Podcast. Make sure you guys hit that like button and subscribe. For Tyler Zulli, I go by the name of JP Zapata. DOOP on, ladies and gentlemen. We'll talk to you guys next time.
We all silly like the mayor.